If it feels like no one really listens when you speak, there's a reason for that. And it's not because you're not smart or don't have something valuable to say. The real issue is how you're communicating. The world doesn't respect someone who talks like they're apologizing for existing. You know what I mean? But don't worry. There's a silent pattern, a kind of unspoken rule that instantly decides whether people will hear you out or tune you out. And here's the good news. It's surprisingly simple. What you're about to learn in the next few minutes will completely change how people respond to you forever. Speak like this for 2 seconds and you'll never be ignored again. And no, this isn't some cheap trick or gimmick. This is a real technique used by CEOs, FBI negotiators, and true leaders to command any room without ever raising their voice. This isn't theory. This is practical, real-world application. It's the difference between someone who speaks with confidence and owns the space, and someone who stays invisible. And let's be honest, that might be you right now, right? But once you apply what I'm about to show you, the shift will begin before you even finish your next sentence. So pay close attention and drop a comment right now. I'm done being ignored. Let's get into it. James was always the first to turn in his reports. He had great ideas. He was the most prepared person in the room. But the moment a meeting started, he'd shrink back in his chair, speak too fast, overload every sentence with justifications, and barely make eye contact. It wasn't a lack of knowledge, it was a lack of powerful body language. Without realizing it, James was sending a message to everyone around him, please approve of me. And in the social jungle we live in, that's an open invitation to be ignored. This is where most people get stuck. They think they need to talk more to be noticed, when in reality, the more you try to explain yourself, the more insecure you sound. And that's a silent poison. A Harvard study found that 93% of how we perceive authority comes from nonverbal cues and tone of voice. Let that sink in. Most of the time, what you say matters less than how you say it. A brilliant idea doesn't land if it's delivered with a shaky voice, poor posture, and no emotional control. Here's the harsh truth. Talking too fast and trying to please everyone isn't assertive communication. It's disguised desperation. And people can feel that, even if they don't consciously realize it. If you want to stop being ignored, you've got to drop the rush and let go of the need for validation. Confident speech doesn't come from the number of words you use, it comes from the intention behind them. And that's just the first step to building a commanding presence. Because what's coming next is the secret that the world's most respected leaders have mastered, without even saying a word. While most people rush to fill every second of silence with words, the most respected leaders do the exact opposite. They understand that silence is one of the most underrated tools in communication. Influential CEOs, FBI negotiators, world-class speakers, they all know this. And they use strategic pauses like they're drawing an invisible sword. They speak less, but every word hits with weight. And the secret? It's in what they don't say right away. This quiet influence shifts the energy in any room they enter. Well-used silence isn't the absence of speech, it's a declaration of control. When someone has the confidence to pause before answering, to hold eye contact without rushing, to stand grounded while everyone waits, that person radiates authority without ever raising their voice. It's the exact opposite of someone who's anxious and stumbles over their words. There's a name for this: emotional command. Whoever controls their response time controls the attention of the room. And this isn't some self-help fluff, it's backed by neuroscience. The human brain interprets silence as the lead up to something important. In other words, if you know how to use silence well, you instantly earn more respect. And that respect doesn't come from shouting, it comes from showing that you're comfortable in control. That's the real posture of authority. It's like your silence is saying, without words, I have nothing to prove. And that makes people lean in. Because when everyone expects you to react and you choose to pause instead, you break the pattern. And when you break the pattern, you completely change the game. But stay with me, because the most powerful part is still on the way. The technique is simple, but powerful. It's called the 2-second rule. And yes, it's just 2 seconds. Before you respond to anything, you breathe and pause. 2 seconds of silence that might feel endless if you're used to rushing your words. But those 2 seconds do something incredible. They create tension. They grab attention, and they set the stage for your words to land with confidence. This kind of emotional control, when you speak, completely transforms how people see you. Because when you don't respond instantly, you're not reacting, you're acting with intention. And someone who acts with intention always commands more respect than someone who simply reacts. But it doesn't stop there. While you pause, you hold your gaze steady and direct. No looking away, no glancing at the floor. Your body language speaks loudly in that moment. Then, after the pause, you speak slowly with authority. No over-explaining, no trying to convince anyone, just saying what needs to be said. Imagine this. You're in a meeting and someone challenges your idea. Most people would jump in to defend themselves right away. But not you. You wait 2 seconds. You lock eyes, and you say calmly, "I hear your point. Now hear mine." In that moment, you flip the entire social dynamic. That small shift creates an instant impact. You break the cycle of automatic insecurity. You disrupt the expectation of a rushed, defensive reply. And you own the space with your presence. That's assertive communication at its purest. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Silence turns into your ally, your signature of quiet authority. And if you thought this was powerful, get ready, because what comes next is what truly separates leaders from the forgotten. There are people who barely say a word, and yet they command the entire room. That's not luck, and it's not about genetics. It's trained perception. What makes someone truly heard isn't what they say. It's what they choose not to say. Before any words come out, there's a decision. And the most respected people make that decision consciously. They choose what's worth saying and what's better left unsaid. That's the foundation of assertive communication. Before they respond, they observe. Before they share an opinion, they read the room. They scan the emotional tone, the dynamics in play, and the potential impact of their words. This kind of reading is silent, but incredibly powerful. It's what creates that instant respect people feel, even if they don't fully understand why. You can keep expressing yourself on autopilot, filling silences out of nerves, or you can make a conscious choice. The choice to assess the moment before speaking, to breathe, to pause, to observe who's around you, and only then respond with confident speech. This mindset is what defines a commanding presence. And it doesn't begin when you open your mouth. It starts with the control you have before a single word leaves your lips. Every strategic pause, every intentional word choice, every well-placed silence signals to the world that you have emotional mastery when you speak. True power isn't about having the best answers. It's about having the wisdom to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Yes, it takes practice, but more than that, it takes awareness. And when that awareness becomes part of who you are, your social impact becomes unmistakable. Because people start to sense they're in the presence of someone who sees beyond the surface, someone who doesn't react impulsively, but acts with clarity and intention. And those who act with clarity, they stand out anywhere. The respect you've been searching for doesn't start with others. It starts with how you show up in front of them. Every pause, every steady gaze, every decision not to over-explain says far more than a long speech ever could. Most people keep repeating patterns that only reinforce their own invisibility. But now, you know how to flip the script. And the best part? You don't have to be extroverted, fake, or try to be someone you're not. Every time you choose silence with intention, you break the expectations of those who are used to seeing submission. Every time you respond with calm instead of rushing, you raise your value. When you understand that real power lies in the pause, the observation, and the emotional control behind your words, you stop chasing respect. Respect comes to you because the world respects those who respect their own voice. If this video made sense to you, share it with someone who needs to stop staying silent the wrong way and start standing up the right way. And drop a comment below. In what kind of situation do you most want to use this technique? I'll be reading and replying with something practical that can shift your very next conversation.